I'm going to open up the informational meeting. My name is Deborah Petty. I'm the town administrator of the town of Freetown. With me is Nancy Durfee. She's the town planner.
Hi.
I wanted to have this forum in case there was questions regarding the town warrant. It is for any questions regarding anything on the town warrant. While I know a lot of you are probably here for the MBTA Communities Act, I'm going to open it up to questions prior to that. I will say this is not about the train noise. So while I understand that's a concern, and I've heard concerns from a lot of residents, I am working on that. I am working with the selectmen, and I am working with mutual towns, Berkeley and Lakeville, on gathering all of the information regarding quiet zones, and I will come out with an informational date for that in the future. So we are hearing you, we hear the complaints, we understand there's concerns, and we are working on that. But tonight's meeting is really to get information, answer questions for the town meeting. If I cannot answer your question, I'm going to ask you to give your email address to Luann, the executive assistant to the Board of Selectmen, and she will take your email address down and your question, and I will get it answered hopefully prior to town meeting. The purpose of the forum is hopefully to answer your questions so that you can just go to town meeting and vote. It's not the easiest format to go to and ask questions. And sometimes votes are called and you don't really get to talk, or you don't get to ask your question. So I thought this would be a great way to see what concerns there are, what questions there are. Also, I may not have the answer, and this will give me the opportunity to get the information prior to town meeting, and so that everybody can get the same information. So with that, I'm going to open it up to anything but the MBTA Communities Act. If you have questions on any of the other warrant articles, because I'm assuming that it'll be quicker than the MBTA Communities Act, which we plan on spending some time on. So I don't know if any of you, I know we've been trying to get the warrant out. We've sent it out via flash. It's also here. I don't know if you've had time to look at it. It's not that I won't answer questions, I will. There are microphones here. If you need to talk, please try to get one close to you. And I will ask you to just give me your name and your question if there are anything. Does anybody have any questions before we do any other presentation? Luann, is there anybody on Zoom? Do you have that?
Several people on Zoom.
Any questions from them? If you're on Zoom?
I did get some feedback that they can't hear you, so you want to move your mic closer to you.
Oh, wow. Okay. How's that? People on Zoom, can you hear me? Let Luann know if you can hear me. Maybe my mic's not good. It's on. Well, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to move forward with the MBTA Communities Act because my guess is that the majority of you are interested in that. The MBTA Communities Act was enacted in 2021 under the Baker administration. It was almost passed unanimously by the administration then. So the MBTA Communities Act requires the town to zone an area of high density. They require the town to rezone an area that would accommodate at least 15 units per acre on a 50-acre parcel, primarily within a half a mile of the MBTA station. Our MBTA station that just opened in March of this year is located on South Main Street in Assonet, if you're not familiar with it. And the zoning that we have proposed is right around that area. Back in 2012, the town knew that the MBTA station was coming, and the planning board was very proactive, and they did do a zoning overlay district called the PMUD, Planned Mixed Use Development, that they got approved in 2012. The PMUD development was about 110 acres that encompassed that area along where the train station is on South Main Street. It zoned 7 units per acre is the density that's zoned there. It's a mixed-use overlay district that allows both business and housing. It was very well written. We like what we have in place. I will tell you, though, no units have been constructed under that PMUD since 2012. We do have one development that has been permitted, it has not been built. This is a law. The MBTA Communities Act is a law that we have to comply with. Now, the governor has stated that we have to comply with it, but they're going to give the town some control. And here's what we have for control. We can determine the location. We can determine the density as long as it's at least 15 units per acre. We can determine the height, which we have restricted it to 3 stories. We can determine some parking conditions. Other than that, there's not a whole lot. It's by right zoning that we really can't dictate a lot more about it. The governor has not directly stated, but insinuated that if we do not pass zoning that meets this requirement, that they might hire special counsel that will come and tell us where our zoning is going to be and what it's going to be. They also will start our grant funding. Now, we do get some annual grants that are helpful to our first responders. The police get annual grants of about $60,000 for the 911 service. The fire gets annual grants to help. They're probably in the range of $25,000. The transfer station gets grants about $7,500 a year. The COA will get your Formula One grant to help with the seniors. That's probably about $40,000 a year. And I think the library gets an annual grant for books that might be worth about $40,000 a year. All of that might not sound that overwhelming to you, but every year we're applying for grants. And since I've been here, we've really applied for a lot of grants. I think since I've been here since 2021, the town has received $2.5 million in grants, in addition to what I just told you, which are annual sort of grants. We also have a very large library grant for construction of a new library that may be $5 or $6 million that we know, we've been told we will lose that grant. And we are applied for grants for many things. Improvements to the Four Corners is one of the grants that we applied for. We don't know if we're going to get it, but if we got it and we didn't pass MBTA communities, we will not be able to receive that funding. They have not told us the extent of the grant funding that they're going to rescind. They have commented that we could possibly negotiate some of it back. There is not the definitive answers that I can necessarily give you, but I will tell you the impact may not be immediate, but over time the impact will be great, and I think they'll make it more and more painful for us not to have passed this zoning. They've told me that it's like the seatbelt law. It's a law. It's a law. We passed it. It's a law. You have to pass MBTA Communities Act. Now, they didn't tell us exactly where because they want the towns to have some control. But it went to court. It was found constitutional and enforceable. So we have this law. We have to comply. How we get there will be up to the town residents. And none of us, I think, really like the procedure and how this has happened, but this is where we're at, just like any other law that we might not agree with. I'm not sure that I have any more information. I don't know, do you want to talk or do you want to field questions?
Sure.
Nancy has put together a presentation, a little more information.
I'm just going to carry this so that you can all hear me, and then everyone who's on Zoom can also. But Luann's nice enough to put the presentation up. As a new town planner, this is not the first action that I want to have to work on because to me it's not really working with the town. It's something that we like Deb said, is something that we have to do. Last year you had a planned development district come before the town meeting in the spring, and it was complicated. it was redlined as they wanted to take your original planned mixed-use development and then revise it to meet the requirements of the state. It was very messy and hard to understand. So my first task was to take and simplify it and to make it legal. So by simplifying it, it meant cleaning it up so it's readable to anyone at the town meeting or anybody who wants to do something there, or the planning board who has to, and be the enforcement on it. It was also sent through legal counsel, and any legal issues were addressed and cleaned up, and that's the version that you see in front of you. That will be what we call PMUD, Planned Mixed Use Development. Thank you, Luann. So I don't know if you're aware of where your district is. Could move it to the next slide.
Trying to see if it will let me.
Please do it. So you currently have a combination of industrial and commercial or general use as your PMUD district. On South Main Street, it would include about 50 acres of Copart in the front, a little bit of Stop and Shop, the storage facility. What's the name of the wood?
Brightman.
Thank you.
Brightman, yeah.
Thank you, Brightman.
Yeah.
A couple of Stop and Shop parcels that I believe that they own, and then there's a 14-acre parcel as well that I believe Deb said had been permitted but has not been constructed. That is also in the mix of this area. Thank you. Just to give you an indication, you are right near the interchange, South Main Street. Is there a next slide? Yeah.
Can I make it bigger?
Can you make it bigger? I don't think we can.
Trying to make it.
Is that helpful? Because that's the actual district. What you don't see is the underlying spots.
Sorry, I'd just
But-
like to see the street, the other stuff.
Yeah, so
I'll look after.
as you come
Where
into,
is the South Main Street? Is that,
this is South Main.
okay,
This is 24
okay. So that, the big part on the right is mostly the Stop and Shop?
and Copart.
On the
Copart is in the front in this section, and Stop and Shop has a couple of sections here.
Okay,
Brightman. The MBTA, I'm sorry, the MBTA also has the parcel as well, and then over here you have about 14 acres that was already permitted, not constructed. Next. Just to give you some indication, we did an aerial view which shows kind of like what is currently going on here. And you can see much of it still has not been developed. Some of it is housing, much of it's wooded, and the MBTA station, of course, has been developed. And Brightman has been an active, member of your community, servicing you all with your wood supplies. I like them. They're a good spot. Next slide. This is just a very, really minimal impact on the two. There is much more. I could go into more detail if you have more questions, but basically the differences between the two is that it was all a special permit. The housing, the mixed-use portion, and then the new amended PMUD would be residential would be permitted by right, which means there's less oversight on that site as far as housing goes. And then the mixed use, we changed to special permit so that there was some oversight on any businesses. And the businesses themselves are by special permit, are somewhat limited too. Like, there are things that we drew out of the original bylaw, adding things like shops, restaurants, studios, artisans. Nothing of large scale would be going in this district. Something much more small, conducive to some like a made mixed-use development area would look like. Site plan review is required for both. So you would still have to follow the site plan review requirements. For the open space requirement, it was 30%, yes, at a minimum of half an acre in size, and you couldn't include wetlands. We've put it into the new proposed as 20% of the project's total area. Because we have to meet that 750 units in the area, so in order to do that, if we gave more open space, then it would be hard to hit that threshold. Allowable residential density was 5 units per acre, 7 units per acre with bonuses like 55 plus. And certainly the bedrooms were also, and I think I can talk about that. Yes, bedrooms were also limited by percentage, so much a percent for single family, so much a percent for 2-family, and nothing above 2-family. You can't do that with the state requirement. You cannot limit the bedrooms, you cannot exclude children, you cannot make it 55 plus, it has to be for all. And it's 16 units per acre. For dimensional standards, it was FAR 40%, and let me just check with my notes. That was a new term for me, so let me see. I did a lot of prep for this meeting, and it's on multiple pages, so please, I'm sorry. So FAR is the ratio of the total floor area of buildings on site to the size of land. It's complicated. It'd be a mathematical equation that we'd have to adhere to. And what's allowed now would be a 70,000 square foot minimum lot size with 100 feet of minimum frontage, with 25-foot setbacks all around, and the 35-foot height at the 3 stories. The design standards are, this is kind of a little misleading, because the design standards that were in your original PMUD are much more stringent and much more well thought out and written. We have minimal design standards, such as we said, you have your setbacks and things like that. Some of the parking, the sidewalks, but it's very minimal. It's very watered down from the original version. So I think that's a little misleading, but I just wanted to clarify that with you, so you would know that if you saw the two, it is a difference. Does anyone have any questions on these? Shoot.
Is the train station legally in a Sonnet or in Freetown?
Same thing.
You know what bothers me is they're basing the 750 units on open space, and they're including Freetown. Why don't we base it on open space that we have in a Sonnet? Now, they're not looking at Lakeville, even though all this is going to have impact on the Lakeville-Freetown School District.
Right.
So now why are we not considering this? I mean, 750 units, give me a break.
It's a lot.
All right, now, I want to pick up another thing.
Sure.
I've been following this for the past 3 years. I've gone to all the meetings. I stayed here when they promised us everything from wider roads to a bike path. I have not seen a wider road. I have not seen the bike path. I also want to bring up, when all this started in 2021, the world was a whole different place. We had funding. Now, you're talking about everybody is running scared. I've talked to people from everywhere, from Milford to Milton to Canton to Stoughton, you name it. I joined the group, and I'm with the lawyers. I know what's going on. If there's so much funding that they're taking away from us, why did the governor ask the legislature for $468 million more? There's no funding to take away from us. In Milton, they took the funding away from a water wall. The funding was not even there. So, I mean, I'm looking at all this, and I think that we should go back to everything and say 2025 is not what it was like in 2021. We were not pressured into all of this housing and everything that's going on, and we should just readdress these issues. I mean, another thing, 16 units. Now, if you did individual units, you'd pick up about $6,000 in taxes. Is each one of these buildings going to give us $96,000 in taxes every year? I mean, I just see this as something, it's gonna go like the Lord Phillips apartment, please, just go down 140 and stop there. That's all, I've been there many times. That's all you have to do. They will promise you construction jobs. They will promise you luxury. And then once you've got it, goodbye. We're done.
I'll address that, Nancy.
Okay.
So let's start with first Assonet. Assonet is part of Freetown. So there is only one town, it's the town of Freetown. There are villages within that town, Assonet being one of them. So all one town. So that's the first question. The second issue was the MBTA railroad itself, South Coast Rail, Keolis, all very separate than the state enacted MBTA Communities Act. And as I said at the opening of this meeting, we are not going to discuss the railroad and the issues, albeit very valid and very much a nuisance, I think, for some residents at this point. So we will discuss those at a later meeting. This is strictly about the law that says we have to require this zoning. Just keep in mind, we have had high density since 2012, and no units have been built. So this is a zoning enactment that's required by the law. It doesn't mean that we have to build them or the developers will build them. Studies have shown, and all I'm giving you is information I have received, is that the implication of the new residential zoning, the houses that will be built, will cover the cost, the taxes that are received, will cover the costs of our new necessary infrastructure and whatnot.
The fire engine, the police department, the schools, the roads, school buses, transportation, highway.
That's not really realistic, I'm saying. You get that much impact, you can have, okay, we're gonna have to add on to a school, we need an override for this, we need an override for that, so it just keeps on parlaying. It's like, we don't have a really say in what goes on in the state anymore, because it's the same thing with the access dwelling unit. It becomes, okay, this is what it is, this is what you're gonna do. It's not a democracy, it's a dictatorship. You know what I mean? You try to make, you're trying to compact all that, so in the land area, you have the environmental issues, you have water runoff, you want things to be open, you want it to be a town, not a city. So basically, whatever you think revenue you're gaining, you're gonna be spending that three folds over, in my opinion. Plus, we voted on this originally, a year and a half, 2 years ago? That got shot down. So it's like, I remember a lady said in a meeting, it's like, with the select board members, I don't see any of them here right now, that it got shot down, and it's like, respect our wishes. It's the same thing with a big impact like the access dwelling unit. Okay, that's a big impact on the whole state. There's no vote on it. It should have been on the ballot, period. That's my opinion, but I'm saying, there's more that goes on in that area there. It's gonna be schools, we have to hire more police, fire department, a lot of other issues gonna come along with that, too. Plus,
Couple of things.
originally when the train station was proposed here, was this 750 unit was on the table? No, they added that on after the fact, correct?
That was acted in 2021.
I got a 30-year mortgage, I got a certain interest rate. Now, 10 years later, the bank's gonna say to me, okay, we're not making enough profit, we're gonna up your interest rate. I already signed the contract, it's locked in, you cannot change it. Oh, bank can do what they want. Big corporations run this country, runs the town too. Same thing with the government and state. They're just trying to squeeze you on how to do things their way. If you don't like it, too bad. I'm saying, you lose some grant money, I'm okay with it.
And that's your right. I'm giving you information for you to go to the
I
meeting and
understand,
vote your, like, one thing I want, you're not giving me your names. Please state your name before you even start speaking so that we know
David
who you are.
Bernard.
And we will address you. I want to address a couple things that you brought up.
Okay.
This zoning compliance does not erode Title V, so anything to do with the septics and the wastewater, there's no
Yeah.
way to bypass that. And the same thing with the conservation and the wetlands. There's no way to circumvent those two things. So those will stay intact to protect the land and protect what's there.
What the building-
I will tell you too, you mentioned the schools.
Yeah.
We have 1,200 less students than we had 10 years ago in our school systems. So there has been just nothing but a declining enrollment. I do not know, and I cannot project what this is going to do to our school system, what the train itself will do to our school system. I don't know that. I will tell you what studies have shown that I have gotten the information on. That's all I can tell you. And again, this is for information. I'm trying to give you as much information as I can so that you can go to the meeting and vote. That is democracy. You'll be able to vote your opinion in there.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general with, okay, it does pass, okay, is the state gonna, okay, we need to build a new school, they're gonna fund it 100%? It's still your tax money either way, so no matter how you look at it, you know what I mean? An override, it's still tax money, state money, you're working, you pay state taxes. I'm saying how you look at that is like, with Healy, I know it started with the Baker administration, but in general, I mean, they'll spend $1 billion on illegals come to this, in 1 year in Massachusetts, she does, I mean, I'm getting into politics now, but she does a no bid contract on illegals for housing. I mean, so what's wrong with that? Nobody's looking at the big picture about all the scams. It's like, okay, if you're a developer, that people, something could have been done there years ago. Okay, you know why? Because the developer's looking at the big picture. Okay, why should I develop that? I only may be making a $6 million profit. I'll wait till you get more units, I can make a $12 million profit. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of, big business
yeah.
runs this country, and that's how you got to look at it in the grand scheme of things. But you try to keep taxes low, it's like, it's not going to be a big benefit for the town. I think it's going to be a negative.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Hi, I'm Carolyn Kiley Moore, and I live in the Bay Shores, so we're very close to the affected area. I really appreciate this meeting. I mean, the fact that we get to ask questions and see more information before we get to town hall is very helpful, because not everybody gets all the information, or it's hard to follow, or things change and you're not sure. So I haven't had a chance to read over everything here. One of my big concerns was the question of how many units we were talking. But I don't think I'm the oldest goat in this field, but I gotta say, I remember going to Independence Harbor 25 years ago when they were proposing the build-out on this area down by where the train was going to be, because this project has been in play for 35 years. So I remember going, and they were designing how they were going to build the developments in there, and they were designing. I mean, I got to say, it was very, very advantageous. It was a nice area. They had shops in town. I mean, I was really, really pumped to see how much thought and time and energy was going into putting this out. The fact that the town still gets to say where the zone is, the fact that the Title V is still in place, the conservation is still in place, the wetlands will still be protected, that it is, that the town still has the building permits to put it all together for the whole area, whether it's by Brightman or, I find that all extremely encouraging. I find it very interesting, the fact that even though the permits have been in place since 2012, we still haven't built anything. I mean, and even if we go through with this, it still doesn't mean anything gets built. For one reason or another. I mean, I would really hope to go back with the Sapphire Group now up at Independence Harbor and have another presentation from a developer who say, this is how we're going to make a really nice community addition. This is what we're going to build here. There's going to be people who live and work here, and there's going to be people who contribute to the taxes to pay for the expenses for the additional residents that we'll have in the town. I find it very, very encouraging to know that we're all working really hard on this to get it done right. And I think that's the direction we really need to be proposing. I mean, it's not just here. If you drive through any town now, you can see that there is a major housing crunch going on in the state of Massachusetts. If we can work on something and have it come out nice and have it be productive and have it pay, I'm following all the towns too. I'm from the North Shore. We lived near the train. We depended on the train. We started jumping on the train when we were 12 years old to drive into Boston. I mean, here, and I'm really dating myself. But the fact is, there's a lot of hard work going into this, and I would hope that we would value that hard work and say, the law is the law. and let's make the most of it. Let's make the best of it. Let's make a Sonnet in Freetown a shining beacon as to what we can do and how we can do it. We've got the wherewithal here. We've got the people, we've got what it will take to make it really nice. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's figure out how to do it. I would hope that when we already, I found it very interesting when I went to the last meeting that I sat next to people who didn't even know where the train station was. I sat next to people who had absolutely positively no idea where the overlay was. I sat next to people who had no idea that there was a 2012 district, and that they had no idea of anything that was going on. So I really hope they're much more up to date now. But this is not new. We've been working on this for 35 years. This is not one governor. This is my mother-in-law used to take the train down from Sharon and hop on the ferry out of Fall River. I mean, that's how long the trains were down here. So let's make the most of it. And my husband keeps hitting me because he wants me to stop talking. So let's just make the most of it. Let's embrace this. Let's make the most of it. So let's look at all the pros and cons, and let's figure out a way to make this work. I mean, that's where I'm coming from. Anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will say that the planning board for sure has worked very tireless on this from 2012 and through last year. So yes, people have worked hard. It is difficult when there are mandates from the state. None of us like to be told what we can and cannot do. But I laid that out to you. And the reason why this has come back before the town meeting, I will say this, is that as of December 31st of 2024, we were in non-compliance. And they began taking away that funding that I talked about in the beginning of the meeting, from the fire department and from the transfer station. They took those grants away right away. They said, oh, you're not getting these grants.
I just got back from.
I don't know, do you mute somebody? So they came down after the lawsuit, the Milton lawsuit was settled, and they said, we'll give you to July 14th to come into compliance if you agree to bring it back before the townspeople. So in order to get that grant funding back immediately, that we agreed to bring it back before townspeople, and we're trying to be as transparent with that as possible. That's one of the reasons we had this meeting. We've put the warrant out by flash. We put it out in an event letter saying, hey, this is coming, because we don't want people to think we're trying to slip this in. We're trying to be as transparent with it as possible. And I will tell you that I think it's going to continue to come back until some version of it is passed, unless something drastically changes, but I'm not foreseeing that. I mean, the court case came down and said it's constitutional and it's enforceable. So I don't know. I mean, we know that Milton was sued. That suit has been done. I know there's been talk, Middleborough actually sued, and that was negotiated out. Really, it wasn't. Middleborough just has to comply. They were given till July 14th to comply. They're going to revamp a 40R district to make it comply with MBTA Communities Act. So that's what's going on with that. Can I answer any other questions? I don't know if you even finished your presentation, Nancy, I'm sorry.
Joan Chardon from Causeway. Are they talking about bringing the septic down from Fall River, or what would all these units kind of do? And the other thing, one other question.
Yep.
Do our fire trucks go up to 3 stories? I have no idea.
Yes, the fire trucks can go up 3 stories. And that's why it's limited to 3 stories, because they really can't go much higher than that. The sewer, so we do have sewer down to Stop and Shop, and we do have a subdivision behind Stop and Shop that currently has sewer. So there is sewer that comes to that point.
Oh, there is.
We have gotten a grant from MassWorks to design the sewer line down to the 4 corners. That has just about done. I would say that's going to be done in the next 6 months. That cost $1 million to design. It was paid for by grant funding.
Yeah.
The next step will be to actually put the sewer line in, and that's about a $20 million bill. We've been looking into grant funding for that. We're well aware that it'll be difficult to get any taxpayer dollars for the sewer line, because it's going to benefit a certain area of town and not the totality of the town. So we're looking at piggybacking federal grants with state grants. If this doesn't pass, that won't be possible, at least in the short term, unless something changes. So there's no immediate plans to put the sewer line in, but it is being designed and permitted as we speak. So I think that, but short of having the sewer line, they would have to go through Title V and put a septic in, which you can put a septic in. I think you can get up to 10,000 gallons in a one septic, which is about 90 bedrooms. So,
I would just add to that, yes, there is a 40B development going on in the town of Rochester off of Route 28. They are putting in their own septic system because there is no septic in that location. Very expensive for the developer to do, but if they want to develop it, then that's what they would have to do if there is no sewer available to them.
yeah, this is, the Communities Act does not mandate us to do any infrastructure. It just mandates us to zone an area that meets their requirements. So there will be no infrastructure in place. And I don't, that would be all obviously a vote of the town if we were to do anything to that magnitude to get infrastructure, additional infrastructure up in that area.
So presently, right now, the sewer line doesn't go to the MBTA station or the P-MUD there, the proposed building for the 750 units, it doesn't reach that far?
It goes to Stop and Shop, and I don't believe it goes any further down.
So who's gonna be on the hook for the money, grant money, whatever, still taxpayer money, how you look at it, but I'm saying, who's responsible for that? Hopefully not the taxpayers of Freetown. I'm saying you get the developer, you're gonna flip the bill? I don't know, I highly doubt it, but.
Developer may choose
Yeah.
to extend the sewer line down to their property. If it was the taxpayers, it would come before town meeting, and you would have your vote to vote it down. I don't foresee that in the foreseeable future, but, those are the things that are
There's a lot of
available.
pros and cons, the same thing like with the access dwelling unit, okay. Now you might have investors coming to the town about making houses more affordable or living, whatever. You have a house on a lot, for example, 2 floors, okay. Developer's gonna come in, invest in it, buy it, make it a 2-tenement, has enough room for land, puts an access dwelling unit on, so how's that gonna make things more affordable, you know what I mean? And if you have your land personally, then you go to sell it, you know what I mean? Now it's a $1.2 million property, who's gonna afford that, you know what I mean?
I think the intent is the more units you have, where you have your fixed land cost, the more units you can put on the fixed land cost, the less expensive the units could be, and we may be able to get what we call middle housing. It's not affordable housing,
Yeah.
and it's not high-end housing, but those college graduates or sometimes older people downsizing may be able to afford these units and stay within the town. That was the target, that's the spirit of the Communities Act. I'm not sure that will come to fruition, but that is the spirit behind it. And Carolyn?
And there's lots of ways to develop. I mean, unfortunately, again, even on the Bay Shores, we paid for our own water line. We paid for the water line to connect from South Main Street all the way down the Bay Shores because we didn't have water and we had no way to get water. Individual homeowners all chipped in, worked with the town, got the permits, and we all paid for it ourselves. There are still major amounts of people who live on the Bay Shores who don't have town water because they haven't decided to hook into it, but it's now available. We paid for it, we designed it, we paid for it, and we hooked up. So there's a lot of different ways to get things done. Was it ideal for us to have to put the water line in? No. Was it expensive? Yes, but we wanted water, and we said, okay, I guess we're gonna have to buy it. We're gonna have to make it happen, and we did. That's the nature of the beast. So again, we saw a problem, we tried to figure out how to handle it, and we came to a conclusion, and now the other people who are on the Bay Shores that weren't around at that point in time are able to take advantage of our early investment and connect to the water as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Luann, anybody on Zoom? No questions. Anybody else have any questions?
Question.
Could you mention your name, please?
Lee Eckhart, I'm from Asona. Is there a master plan, architectural drawing of sorts, that would accommodate 750 residential and commercial build-outs? Because it seems like unless we
Can see
have
it.
that, you just can't ad hoc go into these areas and just start building. So I'm not familiar with any plan to do that. Is there a plan to actually have that done, which would be rather expensive, I'm sure?
Well, I know that we just completed the master plan with a grant that we got from the state. $75,000 from the state and about, I don't know, $50,000 from Serpent. And we just completed our first master plan ever for the town of Freetown. I was not part of the committee, so as far as what was included for that area, I am not sure. I'm not sure if you looked at it, Nancy.
No, are you, I just wanted to ask you a question. Are you thinking of like conceptual drawings so that you can visualize what this density may look like? Is that kind of like the master plan you're thinking of?
The whole layout would be
Um,
for 750, and they're mixed from, I guess, singles to doubles.
Right.
With little stores and, you know, whatever in there. How do you meet the plan requirements unless you do that? Because you
They
can't just
certainly
have
help
multiple
to
contract.
visualize
Pardon?
what you're, it really, generally speaking, those usually help to visualize what could potentially be.
Sure.
I believe, to your point, is it Caroline?
Carolyn, yep.
There was renderings done of this area as they were planning the rail, which showed like the 5 units per acre, but there has not been any done at the 16. As you said, it is expensive. I don't think the state offered money to visually show what this might look like for each community. There's certainly, like, you can go online and kind of get a sense of it by Googling 16 units per acre, and they'll give you little boxes that show you what it is. But to actually visualize what something beautiful would look like at 16 units per acre, that would cost the town money, because I don't know that they're offering grants for that.
We certainly can
Information.
inquire. That might be something we ask for if we can't get this passed at this meeting, that we need more information. I think one of the issues is we're still proposing mixed use. So it could be businesses or it could be housing. It doesn't have to be housing. It doesn't have to be 750 units. It just has to be possible to build 750 units. I think our hope would be that it wouldn't be 750 residential units, that it would be some mixed use. I think that area of town is ripe for some economic development with some businesses, and the housing will drive the businesses and the business will drive the housing. And so I think as planners, I was a prior planner, our hope is that there would be a mix that would be more palatable for the town and grow in a more meaningful way than just 750 units. And I think that's what you need to really understand too. We're not going to get 750 units. We're going to get some businesses, and we're not going to get it all at once. But potentially, 20 years from now, that area could look very different. I think the train in itself is going to do that to our town, right? I mean, when you look at Lakeville and what the train station has done in the past 20 years, I do think we're going to change. Change is difficult for us all. But I think it's here to stay, and we're going to do our best to grow in the most meaningful way that we can with the least impact to the town at a rate that's acceptable. Unfortunately, this is a mandate that we have to comply with at some point.
Do we have to start, is there a timetable that says by October of 2026 you have to have X number of units built?
There is no mandate for housing. The only mandate is that we pass the zoning.
Oh.
There's no mandate that we build the units. There's no mandate that we do anything other than pass the zoning.
That seems hollow.
it has to be possible, but it doesn't mean that XYZ developer gets a green card and says, come on in and just build what you want.
Well, it's going to be more profitable for the developers, like, 750 units, that's how he's looking at it, it's like more revenue, so you kind of, back in the day when this was all proposed, years and years ago, I'm saying, did Freetown ever say we don't want it in Freetown and push it into Fall River and they can just deal with it over there?
I don't know what happened, I think the train has been coming for 20 years. I don't know what happened back then.
It could have made it here, it came here, but I'm saying, you never know in life if it's going to make it or not. They always shoot for the stars, and a lot of things never happen either, too. Things fall through all the time, so.
I don't think any of us know what's going to happen. I mean, I think we're just trying to deal with where we're at today, what we have to deal with today. We have the train, we have a train station, and we have this mandate that says we have to zone this, or, like I said, they haven't given us exactly what they're going to do, but they could sue us.
Just
They
like
can,
you mentioned about the noise about the train, I'm not getting off topic here about, I'm sure there's probably a policy when it comes to a crossing a road that the train beeps the horn, so basically it's going to be what it is, and if you don't like the noise, it's going to be too bad, you know what I mean? It's like,
like I said,
Yeah, I
we're
mean,
working on
that's-
that.
The town of Fall River is having a follow-up meeting
Yes, they are.
with Carriolis and the
June-
Keolis and MBTA. I believe it.
June 5th.
June 5th. down
June
at
5th, yeah, you can go to that meeting, June 5th.
Right.
At 6 PM at the Morton School.
It's at the school, and we had the community service information meeting at the United Church of Assonet Fellowship Hall when all the MBTA guys came down and had 2 meetings in our space. And they were talking about everything on every crossing and all the safety and all the programs they were putting in place. And can I tell you that they promoted it for about a month and a half for each of them, and not one person from town came to their meetings to hear what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. Not
Yeah, I think
one
that's,
person.
I think now that it's affecting people, they'll be there, right? And that is a meeting, and
Yep.
I've been told if you want to go to that meeting, to try to have specific concerns, very specific concerns. If your concern is that you were promised X, Y, and Z and didn't get it, go there with specific concerns and they will address it. But again, I don't want to get off topic here, because I know that, my concern was that we're going to have this meeting and it was going to be all about the train noise, and I'm not prepared to really address that, other than to tell you we are working on it and we will be having future meetings about that. There is that meeting on June 5th at the Morton School in Fall River that you are welcome to go to, and please do go and voice your concerns about the train there. Anybody else have questions on any of the warrant articles? There's a lot there.
Yeah.
Can you state your name, please?
Yeah, Ann Kazera, Island Road in Freetown. Driving around Freetown, though, I noticed we are building a lot. I mean, you go down Lakeville, there's 4 new houses now that are being built right by the high school. There's another area, when I go to the dump, I see them building houses. Has all this been considered? Like, have they told them, leave Freetown alone, we are building, we've got this construction. Have they looked at any of that to know we are doing building? We are
Unfortunately,
pushing housing here.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't believe that they looked at individual towns. I think they came up with their criteria, and their criteria is that because we have
People
that.
that came to the meeting, I questioned them all as they sat here with all their overlays and their fancy salaries and everything. None of them were from here. I went to the Historical Society in the fall where they had their first billboard to sign them up. None of them were from here. They didn't even know we had a state forest. And the joke was, did you base the 750 units counting tents in the state forest? So, this is how little they knew. Anyway, I know I'm getting back to it, but I'm just saying, I would like to see that developed with single-family houses in this plot here. That's my
I'm
opinion.
sure a lot of people
I
would
had
be.
to bring it up because go down 140 and see what happened. I've lived through it, so I know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I wanted to share
I think
this.
that the spirit, as I have said, is to try to get middle housing. I think that we're in a housing crisis. You have family members that can't live here because they can't get a housing unit. That's the spirit of it, and this is what it is. This is what we have.
Just one final, you had mentioned that the requirement is the housing or this CMUD area has to be within a half a mile plus or minus.
A percentage of it has to be within the mile. I do believe we could split the district. We could move we could move a portion of the district, I should say, to another area within the town if we felt it would be better suited. But because this was already a high-density district that was approved by the town, I think we felt that that was the best location, and it is closest to the train station. I mean, the thought process is that you possibly could live in a unit and walk to the train station, get yourself to work, not necessarily need to have a car. There is a lot of talk about, decreasing emissions from the cars, and that this would help in that. Now, unfortunately, we all know that if you live in Freetown, you need a car because you got to get groceries somewhere, and I don't know that the train station goes by a grocery store. But there are those people, people in the cities don't have cars. They walk, they use the public transportation. So eventually that may be an option where we get a small convenience store that you could get the majority of your needs met. That's not the case today, but maybe that's what would happen down the line.
So if we voted, possibly for the zoning, the can could be kicked down the road for years before construction would start.
Construction will be based on a developer that comes in that has the means to do the projects. It won't be anything town-based.
Okay, but that means it could be 5 years.
It's been 20, what has it been, 13 years, and we haven't had any. Just keep in mind that the district that was zoned, that's been zoned the PMUD, has existing businesses there, such as Stop and Shop and Copart, that are not really interested in, so far, selling off that. Luann, you got a question from?
Question from Tim McIntosh on Zoom. Could you talk a bit about what happens if the lease for the town hall annex does not pass? With offices already located there, what sort of plans or funding will be needed to move those offices to wherever they will be located? Article 6 of the special town meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna put a hold. Is it okay if we move away from the MBTA Communities Act? So there is an article on the leasing the annex space, which is at 69 South Main Street, up where the subway is. The town was desperate for additional space at the town hall. We were struggling with parking issues. We still struggle with parking issues. And we were able to use ARPA funding to license the space up the street and move to Departments Building and Board of Health up there. However, to sign a 3-year contract or a 3-year lease requires town meeting vote. So we are coming before a town meeting in transparency to sign that, to be able to sign a lease for 3 years. The cost right now is $1,500 a month is what we rent that space for. So the cost is approximately $18,000 a year for the leasing that space. If it doesn't pass, we're going to have to back up and pivot, and I guess we'll have to probably buy an office trailer and put it in the parking lot, because there is no spot for them within the town hall at this point. We have moved offices around. We have quite a few employees. The Board of Health had 4 employees in one office. The building department had 3 employees in one office with a volunteer that comes in a couple days a week. It's just not conducive to anybody trying to work in those conditions. We have 4 people in an office all trying to be on the phone at the same time, and I'm talking an office I think is 14 by 16. We're not talking about a large area. So 4 desks, 4 phones, 4 computers, people coming to the window, people trying to service people on the window, people trying to be on the phone. One of them is the public health nurse, and sometimes she's discussing private issues that you don't want people to hear, and it's very, very difficult in those conditions. If any of you have tried to come in person to pay your taxes, at tax time it's difficult to get in the parking lot. We all have to park other places to afford you parking to get in to pay your taxes or any business. And there really is no place for us to go at this point, and by us I mean town employees that work at the town hall. So we're really hopeful that you pass this lease agreement. We are working, as many of you might know, trying to build a new building, a COA/library building that we're just starting the process of. But I think the intent would be, if we got a new building for our library that doesn't have running water or plumbing, and a COA, that those offices would hopefully move to the COA building, and that would be repurposed for those offices. You had your hand up?
No, Ann Kazera, Island Road. Thank you very much. You just answered my questions. We can't even take care of everybody here in Freetown. And if we're going to be bringing in 2,000 more people, they're going to need town hall too. I mean, so I just think that we have so many things. Widen the roads. I mean, put in the plumbing. Do this before you start putting the first shovel in the ground. And I just think that we're a town. We're not a big city. We don't have, I mean, they say, oh, it's going to help put money into the economy. We don't have the stores for them to go shopping in. I mean, I just think that we're a town. We're different. We moved out of the city to come to a town. If I wanted this, I moved to Fall River. You know, I mean, it's, I don't know, but thank you very much, and I agree with you 100%. We need to take care of the employees we have in the town right now so that they can better take care of those of us who are here.
And we are trying, and we're always here. We're always here to listen. We're always here to try to help. Again, this is not to tell you how to vote. This is to try to give you the information so that when you get to town meeting, you can vote. You can vote, and you have the information you need to vote the way you would like to vote. I believe in democracy. I'll be the first one to say it. I'm going to vote my vote. I'm very proud to have my own vote. I live here in town as well. So I'm going to vote my vote, and I want you all to go and vote your vote. So,
Thank you for having us.
oh, you're welcome. Any more?
Done, could you put the map up there so I could go and see it after?
Certainly, and I can
You're all
get it to you.
done.
I don't even know if you finished your presentation. I apologize,
I'm
Nancy.
sorry.
We pretty much walked through all the pieces.
Oh, good.
The rest of
Okay.
it is pretty much just what the law is, which Deb so eloquently said. I'd like to repeat again to you all how thankful I am that you show up. Town meeting is unique in New England. Not all of the country has town meeting, and I believe in it wholeheartedly that the people get to decide what happens. So, you know, the democracy, exercising your right to vote, please show up and do so, because it's a right that we don't want taken away. It's a good thing.
How come today we didn't have any select board members here anyway?
I think we have some out of town. We really didn't post a meeting, so they really can't jump on, or there'll be a
It's nice to have the
violation.
meetings. I'm saying it would be nice just to have an open meeting, probably, say, once every 4 months, just open discussion on any topic that you may want to have, or, you know, would be nice, every 5 months, or whatever, just throwing that out there, you know?
I certainly appreciate that, and I am working on trying to be more transparent and communicative with the town. So it's one of the things that we've talked about, Luann and I, about, is it something we should have? My fear is that we have them and then nobody shows up, right? So, because sometimes that happens. And then, you know, it's a lot of work for us to get here.
Surprised more people didn't turn out today. So I don't know, when the meeting next week, when are you going to bring this to the top of the agenda for the vote?
So this is first.
Yeah.
I put this first on the annual town meeting. It will be the first article, which normally we don't do first, but we knew that a lot of people will come for this discussion and then leave. So be prepared to come as early as you can, because there'll probably be 400 or 500 people, and it takes a little bit of time to check all of those people in. So if you come, the earlier you come, the earlier we'll be able to get started on that.
Or at the high school this time, right?
Sorry, what?
Selectman Zager is on.
Oh, yep, so I guess we do have a selectman on the Zoom, present with us. Is there any other questions on the articles? Does anybody want me to go through them? I mean, there's a lot here.
Wayne J., one question, not exactly on these articles, but how can we find, perhaps online, hopefully online, past warrants, historical warrants that have been presented to town halls? Is it there? I wasn't able to
It is,
see it
if you look
easily.
under the, I think it's under the town clerk's page. She has a lot of them, but basically what you'll see is the notes and the minutes that she does from them. Those are all posted there, so they'll tell you like what the article is, what the vote was, and the gist of it.
Under the clerk's
I also
page.
have, if you have something specific that you're looking for, I have records going back quite a bit.
Thank you.
I'd also like to say the presentation and the proposed PMUD is on the website, under Planning Board. On the left-hand side, if you scroll down, you can find that there, or you can contact me at the office. If you have any further questions, I'm happy to answer whatever I can.
Very nice, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any other comments? Doesn't have to be in regards to this or the warrants. I'm happy to try to answer any questions I can, as I started out in the beginning. Well, as again, I'm Debbie Petty, I'm the town administrator. I'm at the town hall every day, pretty much. Luann is my executive assistant, or executive assistant to the Board of Selectmen, so she's very helpful. We're here always to answer questions, to help you, point you in the right direction to the best of our ability. Nancy is the town planner. She's also here to answer any questions with developments and planning. But we're all here to help you and answer questions to the best of our ability, or at least point you in the right direction if we can't personally answer the questions. So please reach out to us. We're trying to be as transparent as we possibly can with this information. So we will continue to do that. I don't have a problem trying to do every 4 months or 5 months, one of these meetings, if you promise to come.
If you promise to come.
All right. With that, I think we're
If you
gonna.
say you get $25 off your taxes, the people will show up.
That's for sure.
Oddly, that was what I said about getting this compliance in. We should give it an incentive to comply.
There you go, you need a center for everything.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.